Hey, how we doing, everybody?
Morning, friends.
Joe here.
Yeah, and Kevin.
Yeah, happy Monday to everybody. The last episode of West Wing, the two Bartletts, the reaction to it was generally positive, but I think there was a little mixed reaction to it on Patreon. Some of you guys said it was not your favorite episode.
Sure.
But I really enjoyed it. I thought it was a really good episode. I thought it had a lot of interesting dynamics behind it, and Josh getting a lady friend now.
Right.
The Tahitian getaway was, we knew it was too good to be true.
Sure. And that got me thinking about the criticism that Sorkin takes.
Sure.
People, I went down a rabbit hole Saturday after we watched this.
Sure.
About the, Aaron Sorkin as a sexist writer, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because somebody made a comment, and it's a fair comment on one of our YouTube videos recently, that they point back to the beginning of the series where CJ is flirting with a guy on the treadmill and falls down and is like, oh, that's kind of a sexist kind of anti-women thing. And I understand that. They're talking about the idea that CJ can't function unless she has a man, right? Yeah. And then they're like that kind of pointing to that as an example of the sexism. That I get it, but my issue with that is I don't think it's any different than anyone else on the show that's single.
Yeah.
When you look at the last episode, and it's like, I don't think, Josh also doesn't want to be single, but manages to blow it up all the time.
He does.
We've seen it from Sam. We've even seen it a little bit recently from Leo, right?
Yeah,
We definitely see it from Donna, which is another woman. But I think
it just hammers home the fact that their job is always going to be more important.
And that's what I think too. I think that's the issue that's being highlighted, that their personal lives are going to suffer.
Yeah.
Because of this impossible job that they have. Not that CJ or any other woman on the show can't function unless she's in a healthy relationship.
Yeah.
I feel like that Josh is very much on the same level as her, as not being able to maintain a relationship but wanting to.
And I agree with that. And I think if you want to criticize Sorkin's other work, some of it is valid.
Of course, sure.
Social Network. But even in that, it's kind of like he's making a point of something
right
that happened, And here, I don't think really applies. Maybe in the earlier seasons, but I think he's definitely been more conscious of it because half of these characters in the show that we love so much, CJ, very well written.
CJ, Donna, Abigail, yeah,
everybody, all the women on the show are completely strong and independent and fantastic characters.
I wonder how much of it goes back to Mandy. Because she wasn't a very well written character.
Yes.
She certainly wasn't a likable character. She got written off the show after
kind
a
of the
season.
In the room, right?
Yeah. But I don't know. I don't think sexism had as much to do with it as I just think it was a character that was written to kind of be Debbie Downer, a heel for everyone else on the show. And we're naturally not going to respond well to it.
It was a juxtaposition that didn't work.
Right. For sure. It did.
Yeah.
It was supposed to be a romantic partner for Josh. Clearly, They had no romantic chemistry whatsoever.
Yeah.
So I mean, it just wasn't going to work.
You know who else is great that we haven't seen in forever? Ainsley
Hayes. Yeah. Why has she
Ainsley
not
been?
Right. I mean, I know she's a lawyer, so there's only so much you can use her for.
Yeah.
But I mean, they found ways to use her, like when they were trying to write
fantastic.
when they were trying to write jokes for the correspondence dinner and stuff.
Yeah.
Ainsley can pop up. Then again, I don't know if she's doing other work. I'm not familiar with that actress who plays Ainsley as far as other work that she does.
I forget her name, but she kills it when she's on the show.
Absolutely. Who knows? Maybe the turn the show's taken into other storylines, the MS and the re-election.
They're juggling a lot,
right? They are juggling a lot. So maybe they're having a more difficult time finding writing time for her.
That's got to be it.
Maybe the budgets are getting spread in different directions. Like you can only pay to have so many recurring characters. I don't know. But a lot of what I saw, like I said, I was down a rabbit hole on Reddit and on Twitter trying to feel like what's the general feeling for Sorkin, because I love his writing.
Yeah.
And most of it was actually positive. But when I did find negative stuff, it wasn't substantiated that well. You know what I mean?
More opinionated than anything.
Yeah. They would there'd always be like a link to a clip from a TV show or movie, and they'd be like, Sorkin sucks. But like
his Oscar speaks to that. He's got an Oscar. He doesn't suck.
It's not. It's completely fair not to like somebody's style and everything. But
to say it's bad is
If you're going to say it's bad, at least be able to say why. I'm totally down with that. And I know it's social media, so you're not obligated to. But I mean, I don't really care for opera, right?
Sure.
I'm not going to go see one when they're in town. It's just really not my thing. Mm-hmm. I don't think they suck because I don't like them.
I don't like it, so it's
I don't like it, so it's trash.
Yeah.
No, that's not how it works. I don't like it, so I don't like it. It's not my cup of tea. That doesn't mean that there's not value or quality to it, and other people don't enjoy it.
This is all subjective. I mean,
it completely. Art is subjective.
Even Sharknado. Yeah, I mean,
sure,
something we would call bad. which I think that's openly bad. It's somebody's treasure. One man's trash, another man's treasure.
Right, but like I said, if you're going to publicly do criticism, do criticism.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Critique it. Don't just sit there and say it's bad.
Otherwise, all you're doing is just shouting into the void. Again, I know it's nitpicky. It's no one's obligated on social media in a free speech world.
And we're not talking about you guys. We know you guys love the show.
Right. No, I'm just talking about the let's show the opening scene from Social Network and just say Sorkin sucks and then move on. And my favorite thing I saw though was that there were links from other works that Sorkin didn't write. It had nothing to do with. And they're like, this is Aaron Sorkin destroying movies and television in America. Like it's his fault that other bad writing exists.
Copy them,
yeah.
Like knockoffs aren't already a thing.
Right.
Forever.
I'm like, well, I'm not really sure that that's anybody's fault but the people who do the bad writing.
How many Tarantino knockoffs are there?
All of them, right?
You know what I mean? It's like,
I don't blame Quentin for the bad Tarantino knockoffs. Just like I don't blame every bad action movie now for trying to be John Wick.
Exactly.
As they all are. That's not on Keanu Reeves and the production team, right? For making the John Wick films. That's on the bad derivative crap.
Exactly.
I don't blame Roy Scheider for Sharknado.
And it speaks to how good the original material is. If it's so popular, there's a want for more.
Absolutely, sure.
Are going to want to put more of that out there. So
for sure,
hats off to Sorkin.
Yeah, I think the guy's great. I saw his about 5 years ago. Saw his adaptation of To Kill a Mockingbird on Broadway, starring Jeff Daniels.
So lucky.
It was absolutely fantastic. And yes, it turns out that Aaron Sorkin can write dialogue better than Harper Lee did. Sorry, but it's true.
Hard truth. Yeah.
All right, want to welcome a couple of Patreon subscribers for the last day or so. So Sebastian, Austin, and Christy, welcome, guys. We're very glad you're here with us.
We really are. And if you guys are watching us on YouTube for the first time, welcome to our channel. If you'd mind hit the like button for us, leave us a comment down below, and please hit that subscribe button so you can stay up to date on the new content we have coming your way.
If you'd like to see a full-length reaction to this and everything else we've watched or are currently watching, check out a link in the description below to our Patreon page, where you'll find full links to everything there. In fact, when you get done with this on YouTube, we are already 4 or 5 episodes ahead on Patreon right now with the West Wing. You jump right over there and catch that right now. You will have to watch on your own streaming service along with us. All you're going to see and hear is us. We're watching on Max. We're also currently doing 30 Rock as a Patreon exclusive. So a lot of stuff going on over there, but you won't be able to see it unless you have your own copy.
We want to see if Toby and Bartlett have another...
I don't think we're done with this. Yeah, exactly. I don't think we're done with this. This is the beginning of something and not the end. Yeah.
He's trying to push him. I get what he's doing, but he's going about it in a very strange way. Adam Arkin?
Adam Arkin. Yeah. Very talented guy. Good director, too.
We just watched his episode he directed The Americans,
He thinks he's there to see Josh. He doesn't know he's there to actually see the president. I'm guessing he's seen the president after the recap we just had.
This building.
I bet that's why they're doing tour. He's working his way back to the
Here comes the actual Sam Seaborn.
Anybody you know on the plane?
No.
Okay.
Making sure it's secret. Yeah. Anyone see you on the airplane?
You don't think this is interesting?
I think it's fascinating.
If somebody sees us, I'd like them to see me giving you a tour.
You can't get out in the news that the president's seeing a therapist.
No. Which is stupid.
Who built the White House?
Sure.
How was your flight?
It was fine.
Did you know anybody?
Did you know anyone on the plane?
Yeah.
Who did you bring me here to talk to?
Dr. Keyworth.
Yep, I knew they were going to come back to the doorway.
Did you know anyone on the plane? I've been having trouble sleeping.
I'm sorry?
You understand that this is an election here, right? I mean, by itself, who cares?
Tell me about the nature of your sleeping problem.
I can't sleep.
What happens when you try to sleep?
I stay awake.
You haven't slept in 4 nights.
Right.
Ooh,
it must be hard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have you tried taking a sleeping pill?
The 3rd night.
How many of those do you smoke a day?
Not many.
Because nicotine will keep you up at night.
Never has before.
Listen, I'm missing a reporter.
Who?
Bill Price.
Isn't Billy in the Congo?
Yeah.
What do you think has happened?
I think he left the Capitol.
Without written permission from the ministry?
How would he know he needed that?
By reading state background notes.
Does that sound like Billy? I know Billy's been a pain in the ass to you guys for 3 years, but he's got a wife and 2 kids. So if you could see your way clear to forgetting about this.
I don't care that he's been...
Look, this is exactly what we said we wanted it to be. We said we were tired of reading about the president's scattershot foreign policy.
You know your wife's gonna have something to say about it, though.
My ex-wife?
Yeah.
Why do you call her my wife?
It bothers you.
Everything bothers me.
The night of the Iowa caucus, when you got back, did you and the president have a conversation that night?
I bet this has been hovering, yeah.
He seemed kind of upset about it.
It didn't go well.
What was it?
It was personal.
It was personal?
Yeah.
Billy Price is on assignment in the Congo, and he's missed 2 deadlines. He hasn't gotten anywhere with state.
It kind of seems like to be his MO.
Why don't
yeah.
we talk to the Congolese attaché?
He's on his way.
Okay.
Hello.
Oh my God! Yeah, yeah.
You can make a good dog break his leash.
I was at a social function.
Whoa. I didn't even see that thing from the back.
Well,
Yeah.
we've been through physical factors, lifestyle factors. That leaves us with
Psychological factors.
Time to talk about Dad.
You say the
What
one
were
thing
the
you have to
odds?
say. What happened 4 nights ago? That's.com.
Yeah.
R.I.P.
This is the .com bubble.
Yeah.
It'll track legislation, profile people in power. You don't understand. I'm talking about full-time. Issues director for capitalscoop.com.
But I'm,
It's a startup.
you
I
know,
wouldn't.
Yeah.
not at all qualified.
That's not true. You've been Josh Lyman's traffic cop.
Is this your operating budget?
It's your starting salary.
Do you mind if I say something to you?
No.
The way you talked to that woman before.
What woman?
I don't know her name, the dog on a leash. You demeaned her.
No, we're friends. It's a completely mature, also she started it. I wasn't demeaning her, I was complimenting her.
She's an associate White House counsel and you're complimenting her on her sexuality?
It's really exciting.
May I witness office?
Better his than mine.
Yeah,
I don't
not your
get how you
gatekeeper.
can do this without consulting people.
Come on in.
I don't get how you think
You've
you can
consulted
take
plenty of people. What do you think, Sam and I create foreign policy around here?
the crushing yoke of Islamic fanaticism. Gentlemen, start your engines.
The Mai-Mais care about proper documentation, do they?
I beg your pardon?
If his papers were in order, he wouldn't have been abducted at gunpoint?
You think I have him in my briefcase?
This is a shakedown, so tell us, how much money and where does it go?
What's the job?
He has an internet startup.
What kind of site?
Commentary.
You can't be thinking about taking a job that may not be around a year from now.
This job may not
That's
be
my
around a
thought
year
too,
from now.
right?
Before, when I said that you were enough to make a good dog break his leash, you understand that men, we're the dog, right? I didn't mean to demean you.
I kind of need you to listen along.
Okay.
Category A countries will be paying a premium, actually overpaying to cover the discounts for Category J states.
Yeah.
If I
Right.
felt demeaned, I'd
Well,
be
and
among the very first people to know it.
And that's what I'm saying, is it's up to her
Here
to
my
decide
notes.
if she was demeaned
I'll
or
rewrite
not.
him now.
Your husband is employed by $1 billion corporation.
Janet, Miss Carlson would pay whatever.
Ransom.
Are you under any stress?
That's funny.
Is there any stress in your job at all? Or?
Let's mention your
Not
wife's in
unusually
trouble.
stressful now.
Yeah.
I'm saying it's not stress. I was feeling stressed 5 nights ago, too, and I slept fine.
So what happened 4 nights ago?
There it is.
I want
There's
my
the
money
question.
back. I can't sleep. I'll be tired. I'll lie there, and it doesn't happen.
I hate insomnia.
I had a conversation with one of my aides that
There we
night
go.
after
Here we
we got
are,
back
yeah.
from Iowa. He called
It's
me.
about
on
your
something.
dad.
Long and short of it is, my father never liked me at all.
Yeah.
Well, at least we're closer to my area now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought you'd enjoy that.
If your sister was getting ready for a night out, and I said, Deanna, you're enough to make a good dog break his leash, would you think I was a cad?
I think you were a hick.
I asked Ainsley, and she said she didn't mind at all. Plus, Charlie said he's fine with it.
Charlie's a man.
Damn right.
If you're willing to let your sexuality diminish your power.
I'm sorry?
See, that's
I
not
said
for
I'm
her to
surprised
decide,
you're willing
you
to let
know?
your sexuality diminish your power.
I don't think whatever sexuality I may have diminishes my power. I think it enhances it. Nonsense issues distract attention away from real ones. Pay equity, childcare, honest to God, sexual harassment, and...
Yeah.
Our daughter is Donna,
How old is she?
This is bumming
7
me out,
months.
I
man.
know.
and her brother Harry is
7
3.
months. Wow.
Several members have drafted an insert. Will you look at it?
Sure. So this is your way of saying any resemblance the previous paragraph may have had to foreign policy is purely coincidental.
That's right. What's Egypt gonna think? Or Pakistan?
That freedom and democracy are coming soon to a theater near them, so... I don't remember having to explain to Italians that our problem wasn't with them, but with Mussolini. Why does the U.S. have to take every Arab country out for an ice cream cone? They'll like us when we win.
Oh, God.
Yeah, he was killed in an ambush.
Oh my God.
What? Who tells the wife? I honestly expected him to get him back. I thought this was a procedural of how they got the guy back. I didn't see this
Yeah.
coming.
In typical West Wing fashion,
Yeah.
it's gonna end in a downer.
They keep moving the
God.
goalposts on you, don't they? Get A's, good college.
It's not good for a person to keep setting goals.
Probably is, but it's tricky for somebody who's still trying to get his father to stop hitting him. You're destined for something else.
I have abilities.
And now you have an opportunity to use them. This is a hell of a curve you get graded on now. Lincoln freed the slaves and won the Civil War.
I'm not trying to get my father to like me.
Good. Because it's never gonna happen. Done for the night.
Stanley. And we're done when I say we're done.
No. I'll be the only person in the world, other than your family, who doesn't care that you're the president.
It's good.
It's really good.
Time is up.
Get rid of that picture. Burn it. Lawrence O'Donnell.
He's in the shadow of great men, and a really bad one, you know? It's just... Man, there has been very few TV characters as compelling as Jed Bartlett, man. Like, he is an all-time TV character. He really is.
You know, I expected him to be a lot more resistant to the conversations he was having. You know, a lot more pushback from him.
I didn't expect him to want it to continue this.
Right, and he didn't fight nearly as much as I mean, he was a little sarcastic and a little standoffish, but that's par for the course when you're the president and someone's kind of
questioning you.
Yeah. I mean, when someone's kind of really undermining the persona that you're putting forward.
Not used to it.
No, for sure. And let's be honest, he's a great man. He's a great man.
He's a great man.
So having somebody kind of like call you out that's unmined territory.
Yeah. Let's get through some of these some of the storylines in the episode. One, it sucks that Billy's gone.
Yeah. I honestly thought we were going to have a happy ending to that. I really did. I thought it was a procedural where they get him back, kind of like the submarine a couple weeks ago. I thought it was the same thing. Okay, when this happens, how do they get the guy back?
Yeah.
Sometimes they don't. Is actually the takeaway from this.
Most of the time, they don't. It seems like, you know, on this show, there's several episodes have ended on a somber note like that.
Sure.
So that sucks. But also the Toby situation. Not a wrong or right answer for that, really. I mean, look, religious fanatics are going to be an issue in any part of the world, right? I mean,
they're an issue here.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. I mean,
we had an abortion doctor murdered in this town, you know, about 10 years ago by a zealot at church, shot down in his church.
At a church. Yeah.
Exactly. I mean, that is the same thing. I feel like.
And I don't want to get into the Hamas Israel thing, but it's weird watching this and then having that kind of happen today. You know,
sure.
It's different, but at the same time, you know, this is something that's been happening for centuries.
Right.
The fighting over the land, you know, and you know it's all.
Well, certainly since Israel became a country in the 40s.
Yeah, and there is a religious aspect to that as well. Obviously, you know, as a Catholic, as people that has Islamic people in my family. It's tricky, right? Because you don't want to. I mean, look, the Catholic Church has done plenty wrong. Obviously, there are issues with Islam, but you know what? Not everybody that practices Islam is a bad guy. They're a bad person. They're not evil. You know, there's people. You know,
right? The analogy they gave, right? In the first episode, Isaac and Ishmael.
Yeah.
The Islamic extreme is Islam, is Christianity is the KKK,
exactly.
And I think that's appropriate. I think what we're doing with this episode was not like, ooh, who's right, who's wrong on this issue. It's more of what Sorkin has done many times on the show and brilliantly, which is to say, this isn't easy. This is a complicated issue of which there is not a simple resolution. And anyone who thinks that there is fooling themselves.
Yeah.
You know, I know I've brought it up before, but you know, not to pick on the poor lad, really. But when Trump is like, my, you know, son-in-law is really smart. I'm going to bring him in to solve this Middle East thing. Come on, man. This is not that issue.
It's safe to say he wasn't qualified on that. Who is qualified enough to handle the Middle East? You know?
Well, no, there's no such thing as a person that's going to step in and solve it. There is no such thing. It
needs to resolve itself.
That was foolish, and you know, a lot of people like push back and said, well, there are a couple of steps that were taken in there that made things better. Maybe there were, but it wasn't solved, obviously, based on the situation we're in right now. It is a complicated issue, and there is not going to be an easy resolution to it.
Yeah.
Another messy issue we saw in this was the sexism angle that Sam kind of directed at Ainsley.
I'm glad we get the bookend up with this because we started off the episode talking about Sorkin's dialogue, and
wondering where Ainsley Haynes was. Yeah,
that was a commentary
on
that.
Yeah, it largely was.
Yeah, man. I think what Ainsley said is very, very true. And you know what? The lady, forgive me, I forget, Celia, is that her name? The lady.
Yeah, I think it was Celia. Yeah.
She was in the right by saying she was offended. You know, she said she felt uncomfortable, which is totally fine. You can say that offends you. You know, but you can't be offended for somebody else that it was directed.
That was where she lost me too. I think she's right. You know, Ainsley said it best. Like, if you're offended, say something. If you're offended, say that you're offended. And I think that's completely fair.
I like the banter.
Yeah, absolutely. But when she said, like, oh, you diminish your power because of your looks, that's not for you to decide.
It's not.
That's for Ainsley to decide, right? Of how we are a free speech society. The Sam is free to say the comment that he said. The Celia is free to respond. Hey, I heard that. It was in my presence at work, and I was offended by it. She's totally free to say that, and she's not wrong.
Mm-hmm.
And Ainsley's free to say, I get to decide, how I take what people say to me.
My friend said to me. It's not a random guy.
Right.
That's a key component to it. This is her friend. They're close. They have a close work relationship. And also, I don't want to sit here and relegate sexual harassment, but I mean, like, he could have said something very, very awful. And I feel like what he said was pushing boundaries, but it wasn't that terrible.
It wasn't that terrible, but again, that's Ainsley's choice. If Ainsley was offended, she could have said, "Don't talk to me like that."
Yeah.
That in an ideal world, that's what happens. Because it's very easy for Sam to say something to her. Like, it happens all the time that men say things to women.
Yeah.
That they think is harmless or flirty or funny or a joke or cordial or whatever, that the person they're saying it to can be uncomfortable with it.
Sure.
And it's okay for her to be uncomfortable with it.
Even if they're friends.
Friends can say things that make you uncomfortable.
Exactly.
And you should be able to say, hey, that's the line. You kind of cross it with me. Please don't do that again. And that should be the end of it. Yeah. And he shouldn't cross it again if that's the case.
Exactly. And also there's something to be said about, speaking up for those who don't have a voice. Ainsley has a voice. Ainsley is a very powerful person. She's not going to shut down when somebody... If she hears something she doesn't like, for a fact Ainsley's going to speak her mind.
Sure.
I appreciate Celia stepping up a little bit and being like, hey, you can't say that to her. But at the same time, it's like, no, that's the wrong person.
What she can say is, you can't say that in front of me.
Exactly.
That's a different conversation. Right.
That's entirely right.
She needs to let Ainsley be Ainsley. Because it's I think what's being highlighted here is, and Ainsley said it herself, you don't get to decide for everybody what blanket acceptance of behavior is for the whole world. I found my comfort line, therefore everybody else has to adhere to it. It isn't really fair. It's not realistic, and it's not fair. You can set your own line and expect people around you to respect that, right? But when you start saying, like, you can't talk to that person like that, what's the end of Oana, the David Mamet play, where the main character's on the phone with his wife and he calls her baby, and the young woman in the play is like, "Don't call your wife baby; it's demeaning." And he loses it on her. I get the losing it at that point. You know what I mean? Yeah. That's not for you to say.
Well, I can't remember what podcast I was listening to recently, but there was a similar situation with that where this guy said he was at a Starbucks and he's like, "I'll have this, my wife will have that," and the lady at Starbucks was like, "You mean your partner?"
See, exactly.
Like,
no. Yeah. I get to say what I want to say. That's how free speech works, right?
Especially if the other person, if you are two consenting adults and you have an established relationship, nobody should be able to tell you what that relationship is.
I agree completely. Man, free speech lets people, and that's kind of the beauty. Like, when you have unfettered free speech in America, like we do, which I think is a beautiful thing, and I think it's the right thing. Yeah. That also means that some people think that their opinions give them the right to, like, I'm going to exercise my free speech and impose my value system on you because that's my First Amendment rights. And technically it is, but don't do it.
Say what you want to say, but at the same time, don't impose.
Don't push
yourself on someone.
Don't be those a-holes at Walmart when someone says Happy Holidays and you lose your stuff, saying, "No, it's Merry Christmas." It's whatever I want to say. It is whatever I want to say.
It's you can say Happy Easter for everybody. I mean, like, it doesn't matter at this point. Just mind your own business.
Yeah, that's kind of. I think it kind of comes down to that. It's like, did they say something that harmed you? If they didn't, like again, Claudia, is that her name again? Celia saying that offended me would have been totally fine because it is a gray area, right?
Yeah,
she can say that, but again, you aren't the police for how the whole world behaves. I have a problem with performative self-righteousness. You know what I mean? As a pet peeve, where people like make up these arbitrary rules of how everyone should think and talk in their heads, and then get mad when other people don't follow them. You know, like, wait, I've set the lines for everybody.
Yeah.
I've read, you know, I've read what books I wanted to read, what podcasts, what Twitter feeds I want to read, and I've decided where the lines are. And I'm very angry if everyone else isn't following those same lines. Is not the way it works.
I agree. 100%.
We are a plural society, as they say on this show. Let people be plural. All right. Well, that was
honestly. Yeah,
I mean, it's worth discussion, and I'm not saying we're right. Like I said, exactly. It's a show with a lot of gray area, but I think letting people live as long as they're not doing anything that actually harms you, or harms others is fine.
Yeah.
All right. Catch you later, guys.